All right, let's get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We are Metallicus Live here to wrap it up for the year of 2022. Sometimes it's kind of good to just kind of stay back, take a minute, take a deep breath, and reflect on the year, reflect on ourselves, not only personally, but as a company as a whole. And what better pleasure to reflect on Metallicus for 2022 than to have the Chief Financial Officer and board member Irina Berkon and the co-founder slash Chief Executive Officer Marshall Hayner on today. Thank you both so much for hopping on, Marshall and Irina. How are you two doing today?
Hey Eric, hey everyone, how's it going?
It's going great over here.
Hey,
Just trying to stay warm.
hey guys, good to see everyone.
Happy New Year to everybody. I hope the
Happy New
holidays are doing
Year,
great so far.
happy holidays. It's been a crazy year. I'll say, Eric, I was laughing when you said, 2022. This has been the defining year for crypto. Out of every year crypto's existed, this is probably one of the most pivotal moments in crypto because we're seeing kind of like the old guard get flushed out, and the next iteration of crypto is the regulated, buttoned up, really tight version that we haven't really seen yet.
100%. 100%. So, actually, let's get right into it. Let's talk about that. Um, yeah. There's no fulfilling statement that can emphasize how much of a year this has been. But but by any chance, do you see any opportunities that come arise out of this year, out of um, the current landscape in the industry and things that have been happening in the news and things that have been discussed? Have you seen any opportunities come out of this or potential opportunities from your front?
A friend of mine, Eric, always says, "Never let a good crisis go to waste." He's an excellent PR guy and entrepreneur, and he always says that to me. And I think about that statement this year. Um, it really is. It's a crisis moment for crypto, right?
Right.
We saw incredible growth in 2021, and that wasn't only crypto, right? That wasn't just cryptocurrency growing at some breakneck rate, although it is. I always say one day in crypto is 10 days in the real world, but the global economy and the traditional markets were exploding as well, right? So like tech stocks were at an all-time high, traditional markets are all-time high, the real estate industry is booming, just everything's booming, right? Kind of after
Mhm.
effects of COVID money printing. And during that time, the 1 = 10 factor really applied in crypto, and you had a lot of people who were just willing to throw all the risk at the wall for the the Three Arrows Capital self-proclaimed super cycle, which never happened. Obviously, they were, everybody was in this kind of FOMO state. But what happened was it allowed this really unscrupulous so-called DeFi lending. It was actually CeFi lending to flourish with operators that weren't licensed, that didn't know what they were doing, and they all kind of rehypothecated and had this kind of weird incestuous scenario where one was lending to the other, was lending to the other. In some cases, people were borrowing off of loans that they had essentially backed and created. It was crazy, right? And so we saw the end of Celsius, we saw the end of Three Arrows Capital, Genesis is now dead, and FTX exploded. So all of the bad players are kind of flushed out, and I'm sure there are probably a few more left to explode. But I gave a prediction earlier this year about after kind of the regulation crunch comes, which I've been predicting for a while, what's going to come next is going to become the regulated entity. So banks like Fidelity are going to launch their crypto exchanges, which they just did. That's one of the largest banks in the United States, launching crypto exchange and an NFT platform. Bank of America has more blockchain patents than any company in the world. And now they're all going to come out and they're going to start to do this stuff because while there's doubt in the market, this is where the regulated players and the really strong players come out. So I've watched this cycle every 3 years approximately. It kind of lines up with Bitcoin halving and general market cycles. But every 3 years, the cryptocurrencies by market cap and the main exchanges kind of change hands. And the last time we saw it really was 2017. 2020 was kind of the big shakeup with COVID. And that's where FTX appeared. So I would say it was approximately 3 years ago to this date that FTX was incepted and dissolved, right? And now we're about to see a whole new wave. And it's kind of like the gauntlet. I think 2023 is going to be like the gauntlet. I'm not going to say it's going to get any better from here. It actually might get worse because the chairman of the Federal Reserve in the United States, Jerome Powell, has said that. And, there's going to be tightening. There were problems with money printing. Obviously, we printed way too much money. But crypto really is the answer to that, right? And you look at things like Bitcoin, when you look at payment systems like Proton, and true DeFi like Proton Loan survived the explosion, and all true DeFi protocols like Maker and Compound and Aave did as well, right? So where I think this is going is the decentralized world. I invented this term, I coined this term, and I'm really so proud to see a lot of people using it. Proof of reserves, proof of liquidity, or proof of liabilities, proof of reserves. So it wasn't enough for us to just say, enough for the crypto industry to just say, here's my proof of reserves. We need to see proof of liabilities. And in order to do that, we have to start to do everything on chain. So we should be using blockchain where it's powerful and using centralized systems and traditional governance where that's powerful, and not trying to conflate the two. When we started saying, Celsius is DeFi, that was, when Alex Mashinsky, the former CEO of that company, now disgraced company, said that, that was a lie, because that was not DeFi. DeFi means decentralized. It means a smart contract with oracles and code making decisions versus humans making decisions. So I think we're going to start to see that, and it's next year we're going to start to see the beginning of that, and the next 10 years is going to be really wild, because it's going to force banks to be more transparent and honest, and it's going to give us fair systems where anyone can open a bank account if they have a phone in a second.
And Marshall, it's interesting when you talk about DeFi lending. You can't negotiate with a smart contract,
Right.
And those are the ones that get paid first. And we were talking about this the other day that if you put money into Proton Loan or Aave or Compound and you take a loan, that's the loan that gets paid first, because you can't go to a smart contract and say, hey, can I have an extension? Can I give you something else? Can we go, make it a little side deal? And that's the interesting part about the technology, the blockchain technology that we're all building on. I'll go back one second, and it was actually Winston Churchill who said that, and we love Eric, but he wasn't the original quote about the never let crisis go to waste. And the reason I like it is, out of every crisis, the right the people and the companies and the those who were on the right side of history come out ahead. And I think what we've seen happen in the last year, there was a lot of hype. There was a lot of talking and big quotes from some of these leaders, and now they are gone. And some of the other ones that were maybe a little bit more humble and were focusing on building and less patting their own pockets, those are the ones that are going to come out ahead, in my opinion. And we've had at Metallicus, I call it, we dodged a few bullets this year, and we had, I call them, blessings in disguise, because we tried to partner with some of these companies. We tried to partner with Celsius, we tried to partner with Genesis, we tried to work with FTX and their various investment arms. We had a bank that we tried to partner with, and somehow things weren't really working out for us to have the right partnerships that we were comfortable with some of these companies. And I'm not even naming all of them. And, we come to the end of the year, the ones that I've mentioned and the ones that I haven't mentioned, they are either no longer exist, or they are having their own problems. And we're sitting here and kind of saying, wow, like, good thing those things didn't work out. And at the time they felt like they were really, really bad things that they didn't work out, that we didn't, get an investment from FTX, or didn't get a listing with FTX. There was another exchange that they acquired that we were having some, issues with. There was a bank that didn't want to work with us, and now that bank is having problems of their own. At the time, they seemed like really, really horrible things that are going to take Metallicus backwards. But now we're so happy that we didn't actually go through with some of these partnerships, and now we can build our own ecosystem of the companies and the products that work for us and work for our clients. and most importantly for our community and our employees, that will make us come out ahead. And there are a lot of companies like us that I'm really happy to see that, are coming out on the right side of history.
I just want to add to that, Irina. That was excellent. Irina and myself and the board at Metallicus and the executive team, we looked at these systems when CFI lending got really hot in like 2021, when BlockFi was hitting their highest multi-billion-dollar valuations and everything. We thought, okay, well, now's the time to have that technology. We want to have lending and borrowing and interest-bearing accounts, but we looked at it from multiple sides. From the security side, okay, how risky is this just from operating this, from the operational and from the legal and compliance side? And there was a huge red flag on the legal and compliance side, right? This could be a security. This could be a securitized product, or this could be a security instrument, right? Like essentially this centralized claim. And you would probably also need some sort of lending license as well for that, right? So whether you're a bank or you're a licensed lender. And so we started looking at that and thinking, this is really not the right way to go. In our analysis, we really liked DeFi because DeFi had such a great and long-standing track record while the new CFI lenders were new. And while they offered, really appealing rates, which drew a lot of deposits, those rates were bad. That was bad debt. That was, it was unrealistic revenue that was paid off of anchor tokens for Luna and UST and things like that. And as we started to dig into all these things, the central CFI lenders and potential partners, we turned them all down one by one because they didn't meet the muster of compliance and safety and security for our customers. And we had this vision of building everything on Proton. We frequently talked about this thing, the 4 legs to the chair at Metallicus. One leg is the blockchain, the payments blockchain that can do all of this, and that's Proton. Another leg to the chair is the bank. And right now we're partnered with banks, but wouldn't it be great if ultimately we became our own international bank and have banks in different countries? The third leg to the chair is the Metal Pay and the custody and the payments app, the kind of front end for consumers and for business. And the fourth leg to the chair is we have the bank, the blockchain, Proton, the Metal Pay platform. The fourth leg to the chair is essentially the way that this works is you have custody, Metal Pay, blockchain, and then the fourth leg to the chair is the exchange. And we didn't have that. Traditionally, we had relied on other exchanges, third-party exchanges, where we're pushing through to these other exchanges. And it works great, but there's still some counterparty risk, and we can kind of spread that risk around, but we never really had something that was not only something we could call our own that we built, but something that was truly decentralized. And so we wanted the lending and the trading to be decentralized. We built all of that on Proton blockchain. And by the end of this year, a few weeks ago, we launched the Proton DEX. Now we really stand on our own. The only leg that's kind of missing is that bank piece, right, Irina?
Well, it won't be missing for long. It's definitely something that we are not giving up on, and we have made some really big strides towards becoming and acquiring our own bank. And this is something for 2023. What's funny, Eric was asking, can you reflect on where we were last year this time? And I honestly don't remember. I think I got that whole, 1 year in crypto. What do you, Marshall, say? 3 years in real life? I don't remember where we were last year.
That's because it's been like 10 years ago, and 1 year
so
it feels
it's
like 10
3
years
years in normal crypto, and in this year it was probably tenfold. But all those, we joke sometimes, and it's funny, not funny. Marshall and I were like, hey, we need this. Who can we partner with to get it? And we can't find a partner, and we say, okay, we just have to build it ourselves. So this is how all of our products in Metallicus come to life or come about. And we do have a lot of them, and sometimes maybe that's our distraction or downfall. But if we can't rely on a partner to not go out of business or not do something potentially illegal or without a license, or be forthcoming to their clients, then how can we partner with those kinds of organizations? that's why we have to build the 4 things ourselves, as Marshall mentioned.
I agree. I would also like picking back on that. I would also say just having just a culture of options. Ultimately, a lot of different facets to our Metallicus ecosystem, whether that be Proton or Metal Pay or the upcoming Metal blockchain. Just having something for everybody to be able to get the most out of their crypto experience or DeFi experience, whether they've been in the space for 10 or so years or they just started like 2 days ago. It's a lot of versatility and ultimately also adapting, like how you said, Arena. When sometimes the partnerships may not work out or just something happens where we gotta rely on our own team, our own back end to build it out ourselves. Just being able to stay quickly on our toes and adapt from that. I think that says a lot about our company.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that, I think about all the different services that a crypto company or fintech company that integrates crypto relies on. And one by one, Metallicus has become fully vertical. And, a lot of people are, why don't you get out there and aggressively shill, go crazy with marketing. And, big part of that was, we've been doing some of that with Metal Pay app and Proton and things like that in our dApps. But really, to get where we have gotten with money transmission licenses, with our financial service licenses, with the team and technology and intellectual property and everything that we've had, and to start to build it in an open, decentralized, crypto-focused way, that takes years, right? And I think about when I started the company with Glenn in 2016. Glenn and I are coming up on our 7th year at Metallicus. It really takes a company like 10 years to, plus to IPO. When you think about it, it's pretty crazy how long we've been going as a business and what we've built. And now is really the time to grow our business, B2B partnerships, but also to really kind of ramp up on the consumer side. And I just see tremendous opportunity in the Metal ecosystem, the Metal blockchain allowing other banks and fintechs and partners, companies to build their own chains, because that was a big thing that we got, right, Irina? And, Eric, and Paul, we were together at Money 2020 and we had banks walking up to us left and right. And they're like, wow, this Proton thing's really cool. Could I have a Proton? Could we have our own Proton? Not Proton proper, but just like something like Proton for our bank, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Can we have a
yes,
block? Can we put our blank on blockchain? We're like, well, funny you should ask. There's this new chain. No, what we're building is definitely wanted. I think it's hard to do what we do, otherwise everybody would be doing it. Sometimes it's frustrating. We don't let that frustration affect our day to day. But I'd say I'm very proud of how far we've come. This year has been really, really, like, I don't know, just crazy how everything was coming together. And I think Eric asked this question before, what were the goals for, this year, a year ago? And to me, the one thing that stood out was just becoming licensed, getting our money transmitter licenses. I think at this time last year, we only had one. We're coming up on 13 or 14 now in the US. We secured our EMI agency license in Europe. So it was very high in our minds to be licensed and to be regulated, so we can launch the products that people can trust, and we have the proper reporting for them. And then it all kind of spiraled into just all these products being launched this year. And I think Eric was gonna give us a little shout out to each one of them, just so I don't forget them. But that's what I'm mostly proud of.
No, that was a perfect transition because let's talk about that. We're all talking about how Marshall was talking about in the last 7 years when he founded this company, and Irina just being amazed based off of what happened in the last couple of years and what we're rolling out. We're going to bring that up. So we actually have a list of every single product and feature that we have brought out under the Metallicus brand. That includes Proton, Metal Pay, Metal Blockchain. So everybody get ready, lean forward, because, yeah, this is a long list. So for Proton, we put out the Proton DEX, the Proton white paper, fully verified on-chain identity with fiat on-ramps, WebAuth NFT support, and the web version of WebAuth, multi-currency and multi-language support for the WebAuth app, Proton Loan going live in January, and then Proton Loan staking following up shortly after, and including our native token Proton Loan in the middle of all that, along with Proton OTC, the worker proposal system under Proton, and then even having showcase events around the community, such as the Better NFTs, the Better Blockchains. Proton December was just happened this past month. And that's just only Proton. Now, coming with MetalPay, we've had the partnership integration with Checkout.com. We've launched in the EU. So I want to welcome everybody from Europe that's on MetalPay. We're so glad to have you here. And then, of course, we've also rolled out recurring buys and bumped up our transactional limits and had them increase on MetalPay. And going through the Metal blockchain, not only announcing that and creating that, our mainnet went live. We're validating and staking as of October. We've done testing on the bridge as of this month, and there is a testnet for the A chain happening as we speak. And under all of that, those products being MetalPay, Metal Blockchain, and Proton, we've rebranded as a company. I don't know how many people here that are listening were too familiar with the name Metallicus up until this year, but now we got it on full display. We have a Twitter account which is currently hosting this event. And under that, we've announced our advisory board, which has members such as Irina on it. We had a blockchain for everyone keynote, and then that also includes just having a more bigger presence on Twitter Spaces and having a Metallicus Live podcast, which you can find and download and anywhere you have your podcast digest possible. And that's about it.
That's it.
What
That's
about?
all you got.
Well,
Oh
no. There's
man.
more. There's more. Metal Dollar. We launched our own
And
stable coin,
there it is.
which is trading on Proton Dex right now.
Just hearing all of that, and
Well,
also just
there's
saying,
one more. There's one more thing. Can I add?
please.
So, it's not something that may be very obvious to everyone, but we have the MetalPay app, which is available in Europe and the US, and we have all the Proton products that Eric mentioned. And as of a couple months ago, those two are working together to provide buying and selling of various coins on MetalPay. And now some of them are powered by the Proton the Proton products. So that's also going to be coming out more and more, and that's what I'm mostly excited. One of the things I'm mostly excited for next year is for all of our products to come together, because we're building those four things, four legs of the stool that Marshall is talking about, and now all of them need to start interacting. And this is what's really going to make Metallicus as a whole, a great company, or even a greater company than we are, because all of our products are going to work together towards one. There won't be a favorite child.
We love
also, I was gonna say it's interesting because we started with Proton with kind of like the wrapped tokens like WBTC. We have our X tokens, XBTC, right? XUSDC, etc. And those wrapped tokens are essentially custodially held tokens, because we kind of took the stance that the Oracle-based bridges were dangerous, and we were right. There's a majority of all of the hacks this year are Oracle-based bridges. $4 billion, around the same amount of money we've sent for military aid to Ukraine from the United States. That's crazy to think that we lost so much money in crypto DeFi hacks, specifically around oracles, that we could have funded a global war with that, right? That's insane. And so, moving forward into 2023 with Metal Blockchain, we love the idea that X tokens can evolve from just custodially wrapped tokens to essentially their own standalone chains, where you can go from something like XBTC without a partner in the middle, and you can have a chain, whether it's a synthetic chain or kind of like a virtual version of it, like a Bitcoin or Dogecoin. But then eventually, maybe when you have more than 51% of its users come over, that becomes a main chain. And then also all the banks, all the partners that are going to launch their chains on Metal blockchain, the ability for them to also have their own stable coins into that Metal dollar basket, right? Which opens up the banking network in US, Europe, and abroad to instant deposit. You want to deposit some stable coins, some Metal dollar into your bank account and get it that second. That's pretty awesome, right? Anybody who uses crypto knows that Metal Pay is kind of like one of the best platforms for getting USDC from your bank account. And it still will take some minutes. But when it's instant, that's going to be a huge game changer, especially for business.
Now I got this next question for you. Listing out all of our accomplishments for the year, and I can go through it again, but for the sake of time, hearing all of those products that were rolled out, all of those features that rolled out, on top of all the plans that we're trying to push out up into this next year, was there anything that, in your humblest opinion, Marshall and Irina, I'm asking you both separately, and I would love to hear from you both. Was there anything you wish that could have been done better in 2022 or been improved on or accomplished, to say the least?
Arena, do you want to kick it off, or I can take it? Yeah, I think 2022 was really kind of the year of building. If there were things that we could have done better, I would say that you know focusing on kind of like the growth of X tokens, assets under management, things like that, building out our dev liaisons and developer community. I think is definitely a top priority. And just yesterday, I was talking to someone who didn't even know about the Proton worker proposal system. They were trying to figure out where to find that, and I pointed them to the blog. But getting that information out there more. One of the things that I mentioned, I did a Spaces a few days ago that and this is not Metallicus relevant, but these are just not New Year's resolutions, but things I want to do in the new year for Metallicus and also just for crypto as a whole. Is I'm going to get out there and start doing a YouTube channel, just because I see other crypto leaders doing it. Why haven't I done that yet, right? So there are a lot of things that I kind of realized this year that also just our motto: always act in good faith with full transparency and accountability. For next year, as we just launched the DEX, but as we get going forward here with our proof of reserves, proof of liabilities dashboard, and our DAO dashboard, I really want to have the community more involved to make decisions. Up until this point, everybody knows I'll go into Telegram or Twitter and make a poll. That's not exactly a binding poll because anybody can game that. And, we want to use the decentralized identity on Proton for consumers and business to have more input with like Metal DAO and Metal Dollar and Proton as a whole. I think having these kind of things up on a DAO dashboard is going to be really exciting. So I really want to, it's something that I think we can improve. We've been building from our side of Metallicus as fast as we can, but I'm excited to see more community involvement around dApps and things like that. And also a lot of cool stuff is launching, like StoreX next year, and SnipCoins has really evolved. And there's a bunch of other fintechs that we're talking to about bringing on, but these are things I want to see next year.
My comment might be a little bit, I don't know, ruthless, but I think that we need to learn, or, as we continue to grow, is, when is it a good time to walk away or cut our losses? And, when there is a partnership that's not working, or when there is a product that's moving in a direction, slower than what we thought. I think that this is what I would say we need to learn a little bit more at the company. And this year has really proven this to us, because there were a lot of things we were trying to do, and then we realized that, we weren't partnering with the right people and the right organizations, or maybe we weren't hiring the right teams to help us with that. And we just need to move faster through that. I guess if that answers the question, Eric, that you were going for.
No, I love it. It's just always good to reflect, And so much wins have happened this year, and opportunities. I don't perceive them as negative. Not that anything was more constructive. It's just this is how we grow. This is how we build, we improve. Somebody actually said within the Twitter replies before this Slack that we're builders, not fudders. And so we ultimately just grow and evolve and build off of that. So I want to shout out. I'm sorry, I'm blanking the name, but somebody in this community said that in the tweet replies before this. So I wanted to shout that out for sure. But just so much fun stuff happened this year. And so I wanted to ask you both, being that you both went on a lot of adventures for Metallicus, such as hosting happy hour events on both sides of the country, convention appearances such as Money 2020, for instance, and then the Dogecoin Foundation. What was your individual favorite adventures out of this year?
I really loved the Money 2020 event. That was every year we do Money 2020, and I've been going since before Metallicus was really official, and um, I just love it. And Eric, you killed it with the podcast, the live streaming booth, and Will and Paul, designing this amazing booth with the blockchain beach that we got the inspiration from NFT Expoverse. It was really cool having people come over and sit down and talk to. It was just awesome because I told one of the founders of Money 2020, Sanjeev, that look, I said this in 2016. One day this place is going to be all crypto, and I was right. Money 2020 has become, I don't know, at least 50%, if not greater, 60%, 70% crypto ads and Bitcoin and blockchain stuff. And so to have all of these banks, and we're talking large banks and banking software, payment processing software, but specifically just talking to major banks and smaller banks too, coming over, wanting to build their own blockchains, looking at the Metal API. Oh, we left that out, by the way, as well, Eric, the Metal API. That was really exciting for me. I really loved that. And just in general this year, it's been such a journey, but the Money 2020 Vegas trip at the end of the year was incredible. And I came back from Australia, my first trip ever to Australia for the Dogeathon Down Under Hackathon, where Metallicus was a sponsor and I was a judge. And it was great hanging out with the Dogecoin Foundation, the community, and everyone, all the teams, My Doge and Own the Doge, and there were a bunch of awesome teams there building different stuff. The W Doge team, and yeah, it's just really cool. Like I had a great time there. I think crypto is really a multi-chain thing. For me, it's a multi-chain vision. I don't believe in like maximalism where you have it can only be Bitcoin. Well, and this is something I say to maximalists all the time, which is, if it was only Bitcoin and Tether, Bitcoin would be like $3 and no one would care. The reason why crypto is interesting is because one day equals 10. And the amount of innovation and development and ability for anyone to jump in and how it revolutionizes technology and the internet and the shared ledger, right? The universal truth. So, yeah, I had a great time this year. The trip to Australia was amazing and just soaking up that other culture. But yeah, for me, the highlight was definitely Money 2020, having you in the booth, Eric, doing the live interviews. And it was really cool too, because the way we had it set up, we had this little booth where we had a really cool, awesome presence at Money 2020 with this huge lit up signs and little blockchain beach. But there's a little plexiglass booth in the corner, and we had mics and like a little webcam. We were streaming it. A lot of you guys were watching it, and Eric was the MC, was the host, and we were interviewing all of our partners. We were talking to ex-regulators. We were talking to we had Lunar Crush in the booth. We had other crypto companies, fintech companies. It was awesome. I really love that event every year, just because it really, for me, that's where banking and fintech meets crypto now. And it's all the biggest players, and it's just been so cool watching that grow. And then also for Metallicus as a company, talking to all of them about partnerships, we entered into the space, in 2017 was when people to become aware of MetalPay as a consumer app. And now to be selling the B2B side of that, competing with like the likes of New York Dig and so forth. It's just awesome. It's really exciting.
Awesome. Irina, what about you? What was your favorite
Yeah.
adventure?
So for me, I like all of them, of course, but I think the European Money 2020 was a highlight for me, and that's mostly because we got to meet a lot of our team members that we hadn't met before in person, and I got to meet Glenn, which yes, he exists. Marshall knew that before, but I had never met him. So we got to have an in-person board meeting for a minute there. So that was cool. We got to meet our European customer support members, our designers, our compliance people, and I think it's just very important. We are very decentralized as a company. We shut down our office in March of 2020, and we've been hiring people without ever even meeting them. And it was really cool to see, look people in the eyes and have dinner together. I do think that we have the best team. I'm gonna maybe have a little segue here, Eric, into the composition of our team and what I'm mostly proud of. We it's funny if you look at numbers. So we doubled our marketing team. We went from 0 to 2. We doubled our product team. We went from 1 to 2. I guess we have we've hired some executives this year. We hired a VP of engineering. We promoted a VP of product. We have a chief operating officer from Northern Trust that came out of retirement to come work here because it's too exciting to bypass crypto for us. Our team is very, very diverse. 40% of our executive team are women. We have a lot of people all over the world. Some of us have never even seen each other, face to face. But I think the fact that our team is so diverse and so dedicated makes our products, it shines through our products. I wanted to throw it out to Eric and whoever else from the team who wants to maybe say something about how what it's like to work here. It doesn't have to be a positive comment all the time, Eric. And I think this is the most proud thing that I would say about last year, and kind of segueing into the events, is having this team, meeting our teams and having them shine through our products, as I said.
No, it's been such a thrill, especially this past year. You just see just an uptick in terms of not only all of our accomplishments, but just having a presence, whether it be at these conventions or these happy hours, but also within the community and within the industry as a whole and the PR. It's just been something positive to see, and it's inspiring, and it gets the most out of myself. And I'm sure some members of the team, I don't want to speak for them, of course, but we're just really seeing our creativity at play, from my point of view. I hope that reflects within the community and everybody that loves our ecosystem, and I just hope it continues to grow and flourish. But yeah, if anybody else has something they want to chime in, by all means.
We had our first developer offsite this year because our devs have really, like, before COVID, there were maybe only a few that had met each other. And now we had one in LA over the summer where our developers got together and our VP of engineering led an offsite for them. And I think that was very important for everyone to see each other and to understand how they work together. And our products are going to be that much better because our team is so strong. Some of these things that we're doing in the background, I definitely didn't know that they need to be done, but I'm glad we have leaders on our team who know how to do it, and we put the right people in the right positions, which is always the most important thing to do in a small company like ours, so nobody's spinning their wheels. So we're definitely moving in the right direction with our team, if there's anything to say about that.
I'm just really excited to see the vision of Proton and MetalPay coming together, and now Proton, the MetalPay app is using like the Proton Dex and Swap, and soon we'll use Proton Loan, and getting people to be in control of their keys while protecting them from getting phished or losing their keys is, I think, one of the biggest challenges every crypto company is facing, is getting people to actual decentralization. I think that in the past, over the past few years, people just kind of defaulted on custodied systems as the only way to go. And we've, kind of silently, quietly been working in the background and getting this stuff to people. And I'm really excited to get to, WebAuth, newer versions of WebAuth in the future that are going to support, Metal blockchain, Ethereum, other chains, and make it safe and easy where you never lose your crypto keys again. Because I think that's really the big challenge, right? We want to get everybody on the chain to own their money, but also be safe and make it simple. And that's a really hard thing to do. So I'm really excited for next year, the evolution of MetalPay and also WebAuth and everything that we're doing there.
With everything that we're doing, all of the wins that we're having, all the wins to come, that's just a key topic that I keep bringing up: accomplishments and wins. And I got a question. I want to ask this to Irina first. This is a question that the CS client services team always gets all the time. And you can follow the Twitter account at metalhelpsme.com. That is our dedicated client services team. But they would always get a question from our customers. Do you ever sleep? Because with all of the products that we roll out, all the plans that we have, this doesn't seem like there's 24 hours in the day to make this happen. So, Irina, I gotta ask, do you ever sleep?
Well, I do, because you guys don't. We're around the clock. So there is always an Eric somewhere, and I won't say everybody's name, who's watching over all of our products somewhere in the world. To me, it's fun. I do sleep. I'm not like Marshall, who can just live on air and good news. But what's interesting to me is when I wake up, I check my phone and I look at the messages, and I always remind myself that somebody like our head of compliance, who's in Europe, had already had a full day of work. So I got to catch up with him. Then I got to catch up with everybody who's on the East Coast, because they already had 3 hours of work. And then finally, towards my evening, I'm caught up with also the West Coast. And, Marshall and I try to talk to each other once a day, on voice or, on Slack. So towards the end of the day, Marshall and I get together and kind of reflect on what's going on. But it's definitely an around-the-clock company, around-the-clock job for everybody. And I'm just super proud, because there's always somebody online. We've had some, fires that we had to put out with a bunch of our, apps and our products. And there's always an Eric somewhere taking care of it. So I'm very thankful for that.
I love it.
Yeah.
What about you, Marshall?
No. I really, I don't. I try. I was actually just talking about this yesterday. I'm trying to get the full 8 hours, because you really do need it for your brain, for your health. But, I've been so excited, and it's also stressful too. I'd be lying if I said this end of this year wasn't stressful. When I was flying to Australia, the SPF thing happened while I was on the plane. So it was like getting off the plane and reading all that. It's crazy, right? So, and I feel like all of these explosions that we've had in crypto are bad but good, if that makes sense. I was talking to one of our advisors this morning, and I listed out all the explosions, and he said, "Thank God it happened. Thank God we're over it. Thank God we've gotten past that. Imagine if we didn't." And so, I try to get sleep, but it's funny because, and I know a lot of people probably do this as like the meme of the person looking at their phone, the crypto charts in the middle of the night. If I pick up my phone, like if I go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and pick up my phone, I see the price of crypto, whether it's going up or down, my heart rate goes up a little bit, or I just see like all this stuff that's going on, in our internal Slack, because we're an international company. So, it's hard for my brain to like go back to sleep. So I kind of, get a few hours at a time, and hopefully that can add up to close to 8 by the time I start my next day. But I'm definitely an insomniac. Also, because the international time zones, Glenn is 9 hours ahead of me here in California. So I'll usually stay up pretty late my time, midnight and beyond. I'll catch up with Glenn. I'll catch up with other people in different time zones. And I'll usually be up kind of late. And then, things start, pretty early. So, I try.
Well, you can get 8 hours of sleep, Marshall. It might take you a week, but you'll get it. one
I
day.
I try to like if I can like sneak a nap in at some point, but that
Hmm.
almost never happens.
Well, you can do I sometimes when I had a little baby, I would use that as an excuse and say, hey, I gotta go take a little nap with my baby. So you can try that, Marshall, if you want. Use that as
Someone
a little
literally just
excuse.
told me someone literally just told me to go buy tryptophan at like Walgreens or CVS or something just to help myself so I can sleep. But this
Mm.
year has been too crazy. Like it really has been hard to find sleep for an insomniac like myself. With this kind of like craziness and everything that's going on, and it's good and it's bad, right? Like we're
Hmm.
launching products, companies are exploding, crypto's hitting the probably the most interesting time crypto's ever been in, and this is when I think that the competition also really heats up. So for us as a company, as a smaller company in the crypto space, not compared to some of these behemoths, when all these other behemoths went down, I'm a very competitive person. I see that as like go time. So yeah, hard to sleep.
I can dig it. So there we have it, folks. Marshall doesn't sleep, but I'm just kidding. But let me ask you, Marshall. So when there are those times where it may be a little bit tough to sleep or or it's a little bit stressful, do you do anything that what keeps you centered and calm throughout those trying times? Do you take any like procedures or anything like that?
Yeah, so I meditate, right? That's one thing that helps me kind of calm down, think about things. I do a lot of reading, so I'm always reading about not only the latest news and what's going on and happenings, but also reading a lot of different books about building companies, executive strategy, and things. But then also trying to I'm not in the code like the other ninjas devs on our team, but I was just realizing the other day as I was doing this really complicated multi-signature transaction for another chain that I need to spend more time just as a hobby. That I love coding. I love all that stuff. I just went down the more executive path, so I walk both lines, right? But I definitely really enjoy that. It's like the aspect of solving a puzzle, and for me, it's mostly over the past years has been really not as technical and more from the product side, and we let our team dig in, but I'd love to get back into that. But that's what's relaxing also for me is my daughter was just born this year, my first child, and so spending time with her, seeing her face, and family time has been nice over this break. It's been really great having her first Christmas together. It's really great. So that's what relaxes me and calms me down, spending time together with the family and with her, and yeah, just a lot of reading. And I try to meditate at least once a day. Everybody should do it, even for 10 minutes. And one of kind of my New Year's resolutions or things like that is also to get my health back into shape. I recently hired a trainer, and I've been bad because I haven't been in touch with him for a few weeks since I got back from Australia because I've been so busy with the end of the year. But I've been kind of following my diet. But yeah, that's what I think calms me down, at least, is I like to meditate, I like to read, and reading always puts my mind at ease and gives me something to think about. In crypto, if you work in this space, if you work in tech, you obviously have to read and digest a lot of material because technology is always moving so quickly. But in crypto, if you're not reading and you're not staying up with current events and you're not researching, you're going to get left behind really fast. So it's almost like releases some anxiety for me to stay ahead of the curve, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Irina, what's your 2023 resolutions? It doesn't have to be Metallicus related, or it can be. But what are your resolutions?
Um, so my personal resolution, and you guys might not know me as well personally, but I would like to be a more patient and a more kind human being in person towards the people in my life. Not that I'm not already very kind and patient, but I would like to have kind of a more calm approach to life. And the being in this job is not probably the best, start to that resolution. But kind of to piggyback a little bit of what Marshall was saying, what does calm me down and what does help me with what I would like to my resolution to be is to be around like-minded people who have the same goals and the same kind of view of the world. And I would just like to say that Marshall and I are a really good team. We talk nonstop all the time. Sometimes people say something to me and I say, oh, hey, I ran it by Marshall, or, Marshall and I discussed it. And they say, oh, how did you do that so quickly? Well, because we're always in touch. And I'm just really proud and happy to say that we are a really good team. We don't, kind of fight about things that don't need to be fought about. We discuss, we challenge each other. And it really helps when you are in a team. And I hope everybody on our team has someone or their teammates like that, when you have someone who is on the same page with you in the big picture. Their goals are the same, their values are the same. They're not hiding anything from you. And even when things get tough, and we've had a lot of really tough times, both publicly, there were a lot of things going on Twitter, and then some things were going on at the company, and we just really had to cut through everything, and we came out of that ahead. Because I think we are a really good team and we have the same goals. So I'm really happy, with where I am in terms of, my job and my day-to-day work activities. For Metallicus, I think the goal for this year is going to be generating revenue, or generating more revenue. All of our products are amazing, and we are now at a point where we can start making money on them and start making more money on them. We've been generating revenues, from the very beginning, but a lot of things in crypto, oh, why isn't this free? Why isn't that free? Well, it takes someone to run it, someone to build it, and all of us have to feed our families, not with air and love. But we are, that's my personal, as a CFO, my goal for the company is to generate more revenues from every product that we've built. This will make Metallicus stronger. This will make our products stronger. This will make our communities, more kind of favorable towards the company and towards our products. Our employees will be happier, because everybody who builds something definitely wants it to be launched and for it to perform and generate revenues. So I think that, let's see where we are in a year, Eric, or maybe it'll feel like 10 again, but that's where I want our company to be.
I love it. Now, yeah, let's talk about next year. And I also want to just bring this back up. Remember how you mentioned that around this time last year, in 2021, reflecting on the goals of what you wanted out of 2022, we can have that same exact thing happen in 365 days from now. Let's see where we go. Let's see what these goals are, and just hit the ground running. Awesome.
I think we're gonna have all 4 of those legs basically dialed in. And I don't think we don't just think, we work towards it. And we tend to, I like to say this, our CEO likes this too, we under promise and over deliver. So I'm not going to say we just think we're going to have all those 4 things, but we are really on our way, because we have at least started, if not already accomplished, those 4 things.
We don't just think, we know, right? And I think we're getting to that point where, as a platform, it's really exciting because we have so much to offer for other companies to build on top of, other banks and fintechs to partners to build on top of. And I think, having banking services is something that's so critical to crypto. If you work in the space, if you've ever attempted to get a bank account as a crypto company, it's like impossible, right? It doesn't matter if you're in the US or if you're in Europe or where you are. It just is hard everywhere you go. And then also having, and this was, I think, it's funny because we were pitching. I remember we were in Vegas, and I was talking to large market making firms in my hotel room while we were, down on the while Metallicus was setting up on the showroom floor at Money 2020. We were basically telling these firms, hey, you really want an exchange you can trust. That's going to be really important, for next year and for the end of this year, I think is, and I had no idea FTX was about to explode, right? I think that's kind of one of the things that made that so shocking was nobody did. But because everything looked like it was growing, from the outside, but it was all some big scheme, right? And so I think that what I'm really excited for is just, like Irina said, getting all four legs to that chair, being able to offer the exchange services that people can trust in a decentralized manner, being able to offer bank accounts. I already think that MetalPay is really awesome, and it's really underutilized by the industry on the consumer side. When I see people on Twitter saying, oh, my Wells Fargo account just got shut down for doing crypto stuff, you could literally open a MetalPay account and do all your crypto stuff right inside the app with your bank accounts, with a bank account that's given to you specifically for crypto things and payments, and it's awesome, right? So next year is just going to be amazing to have all four legs to the chair. The exchange side, I'm really excited to launch, new assets to have MetalPay trading off of that, and the banking space is just completely closed to crypto companies. Even the Signature, Silvergate, and the big ones that we do know, there's only like a small handful, right? Basically, kind of only two brand name, really big ones. What's going to happen next year when we open up? I think that it's awesome because even those two that I mentioned in the small handful that are out there, and Irina knows this, there's a line out the door. They're not accepting new applicants. They weren't accepting new applicants before FTX imploded, and now it's all shut down, right? So having a crypto-focused bank that really knows how to onboard those business partners and clients to the bank, I think that's going to be huge next year.
Yep, pulling everything together. That's what it's going to be.
And there you have it. We got something to look forward to in the next year. I want to thank you both so much, Irina and Marshall, for hopping on. It's been such a thrill reflecting on this past year with you both. And I can't wait to do it again next year. So much more to come. I want to thank everybody for hopping on. This has been Metallicus Live. You can find us on every podcasting platform possible, such as Apple, Spotify, YouTube, you name it. We are there. It's been such a pleasure this year. My name has been Eric Lyons. We're going to have a lot more content in the next year, and I hope to see you all then. Happy New Year.
Cheers, everyone. Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year, everyone. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care, everyone. See ya.
Bye.